Okay, let's be honest. If you needed to fly from Paris to San Francisco, and your only two nonstop options are United or Air France, what would you choose? Plot twist. What if I told you that Air France doesn't offer their newest business class seat on this route? It's the old seat or nothing. Would that change your mind? I chose Air France. And, as you're about to see, I think it was the right decision. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Paris. I've just arrived from Munich, and as you can see, I'm kicking this video off a little bit different than I normally do. Basically, even though I've got an hour and 20 minutes to catch my flight to San Francisco in Air France 777-300ER business class, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Pro tip for anyone needing to make an international connection at the Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport anytime soon. Take the amount of time that you think you'll need and triple it. Yeah, the line at passport control was just bonkers, and I eventually made it through, but I honestly thought that I had missed my flight at this point. And sorry, the only pre-flight footage that I have for you today is the mad dash to the gate, which, of course, was located at the farthest end of the terminal. Long story short, I made it, barely, and even though it wasn't the most graceful intro to an airline review that I've ever done, I'm just kind of glad that this one's going to happen after all. I'm actually kind of bummed that I wasn't able to show you much of this terminal. Despite my understandably unenthusiastic feelings about it at the moment, I am not afraid to admit that it's one of the most beautiful airport terminals in the entire world. Oh well. But check this out. The 777 taking me to San Francisco today is the one wearing the Sky Team livery, which I probably would have been more excited about if I wasn't so bothered by the fact that I needed a shower. Welcome to Air France 777-300ER business class. The old version, at least. This hangar is a nice touch, and I'm just glad that nobody swiped my blanket and pillow thinking that I wasn't going to show up. Anyway, old seat or not, this is still pretty nice, and not a bad place to be for a flight halfway around the world today. Looks like we've got some noise-canceling headphones, an amenity kit, which I will show you in a moment. We've got some well-used seat control buttons, and a tray table which I'll no doubt be struggling with come mealtime. Oh, and I really meant it when I said that these seats are old. It actually got to the point where I was becoming more amused by all the wear and tear than I was by the features. Because, well, it's kind of obvious these seats have seen better days. And don't worry, there are modern conveniences such as USB and full-size power outlets, and the legroom, as one would rightfully expect, is awesome. The menu looked pretty good too, but like always, I'll show you the contents of it later in the review when I get to the part about the food. Next, let's check out the amenity kit real quick, which, at first glance, seems kind of bland. And guess what? There were no surprises on the inside, either. So, yeah, it was only when I was sitting there trying to wipe away as much sweat as I could with that little hot towel that I realized that these seats are still pretty nice. Privacy is excellent, even by today's standards, which comes in real handy when you need to wipe things the little hot towel was never intended to wipe. Curious to know how much it costs to fly Air France 777-300 business class to San Francisco? Let's just say that you'll be happy to know that it's usually a lot cheaper than what it costs to fly to most other US cities. As a matter of fact, the only reason why I'm flying to San Francisco over any other city today is because this was the cheapest flight that I could find using Air France KLM Flying Blue points. Total cost was 135,000 points and $376.65. And before you blast me in the comment section saying that I overpaid for this, I'd like to point out two things. First, the cost of this ticket also included my Munich to Paris segment in Air France A220-300 business class, a review which I posted to my blog a few weeks ago. And second, every other Air France flight to the US on this day was well over 300,000 points. At least. I got a good deal. at least considering what my other options were. The only thing that I'm not happy about is what it actually took to get to this point. For anyone still curious about how sweaty and disgusting I might still be feeling, I've got good news. The overhead air vents on this old 777-300ER are strong and cold, so things are much better now. Thank you for your concern. Speaking of old airplanes, my video screen won't latch, so this is the way it's gonna be, I guess. Which is totally fine by me, because it's time to review the in-flight entertainment. Maybe. There we go. You know, for as old and finicky as these screens are, the quality of the UI is really good. The menus are intuitive, everything feels fast and snappy, and most importantly, the selection of content is impressive. There's also a handy remote for anyone not in the mood to lean forward, and basically, it's the most high-tech part of this entire seat. These noise-canceling headphones, which are permanently attached to the seat by the way, they're fairly modern, and they sounded fantastic. The only issue that I had was getting them to fit properly on my head. Either my skull is smaller than average, or... Okay, yeah, that's probably it. Even though this seat might be a little old, there's absolutely no reason not to think that the food won't be good. I've heard nothing but good things about the food in Air France business class over the years, and judging by what I'm seeing here on the menu for today's flight, I think I'm in for a treat. The wine list looks pretty good too, but you gotta keep in mind that I know absolutely nothing about fine dining. So, here we go. This is the carrot puree starter with a Diet Coke and a bag of trail mix. The trail mix was more my style, but I will say that this appetizer looked interesting. It's hard to critique things I know nothing about, but I do know that it tasted good, so that's all that matters, I guess. Next up was this smoked salmon fillet appetizer with raspberry and grapefruit jelly, which was phenomenal, and I definitely could have had more of it. And finally, the main course. I chose the sautéed shrimp with green lentils, and I am glad that I did. At first I was kind of worried about it being too spicy, but thankfully it wasn't, and I'm just glad that I didn't have to be that guy and raise my hand with a request for something else instead. This was really good, and I highly recommend it for your next flight in Air France business class. I also recommend pairing it with Bullet Train. You're totally doing it wrong if you eat this while watching anything else. Oh, and for dessert, I chose this little guy. I think it was coffee-flavored ice cream, or frozen yogurt, but I don't know, it was delicious. Kind of small, though. They also had a wide variety of other desserts available, even cheeses and fruits, but I chose to remain somewhat responsible. And there you have it. That was a pretty good business class meal service in my opinion, and much better than what United is serving in Polaris business class these days. It was basically all of the things you would ever want in a pre-nap meal, at least before the heartburn kicks in. Current location, Greenland. Heartburn situation? DEFCON 4. I need to get up. Kicking off the cabin tour today is a look at the self-serve snack bar located between the two main business class cabins. As you can see, it's mostly drinks. From there, I took a walk to the back to see what economy class was like, and it looks halfway decent actually. And finally, I went back to the forward section to not only see what the business class lavatory was like, but to actually test it out as well. No stone has been left unturned in this review. The verdict? It's fairly obvious that there isn't anyone at Air France who thought that putting money into sprucing up the business class lavatory was worthwhile. Which is fine by me, since the seats are pretty good, and still decently comfortable on these long flights to the US West Coast. I mean, assuming you're winning the battle against heartburn. Let's talk about legroom for a second. As you can see, there are many ways to get comfortable in these seats. Personally found the legroom to be generous. Even with the seat in the lie flat position, I could stretch out my legs fully and not feel cramped at all. I don't think I'm limber enough to try this move though. That looks kind of advanced. Oh, and are these overhead vents and lights creepy, or what? 2 hours later, and apparently this really is the best way to enjoy these seats. Noted for next time, I guess, because the second meal service is about to begin. I went with the chicken fillet and tomato sauce, and I'm not even oversimplifying it, because that's exactly what it said on the menu. They nailed that description. Thinking back on it, I found it to be a little bit dry and bland, but it was the risotto-style bulgur wheat that saved this dish. Stuff was good. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else to say about it. I'm willing to bet that there were many people who clicked off this video immediately once they realized that it was a review of the old Air France business class seat. That's fine, and I totally get it, but I'm not exactly sure that I share the same obsession with the latest and greatest that many other people do. I actually quite enjoyed this experience. I didn't care that the seat was all scuffed up and that panels were falling off. I didn't care that the plastic was yellowing and that my video screen wouldn't latch into place. I didn't even mind the fact that the USB port was so worn out and loose that the charging cable for my phone kept falling out. This was fun. Very comfortable, and one heck of a nicer experience than economy class would have been. That said, yes, I will admit that the video screen was starting to get a little annoying by the end of the flight. All I'm trying to say is that a lie-flat seat is a lie-flat seat, and as long as the onboard service is good, there are a lot more important things in this world to snub our noses at, I think. The fact that you're still here so late in the video tells me that you kind of feel the same. Either that, or you're just rage-watching at this point, ready to bounce on me in the comment section for being an idiot. You wouldn't be the first. Anyway, welcome to San Francisco. We've arrived a full 9 minutes early, which, and I kind of hate to admit this, but that surprised me. It's not that I have any negative feelings towards Air France and the way that they run things, but I don't necessarily consider them to be one of the most punctual airlines in the world. This is just giving me all the more reason to think more highly of them than I already did. And now, I think I'm really looking forward to trying out their new 777-300 business class product, which will hopefully be sooner rather than later. As we pull up to Terminal A here, I just want to mention that you can actually get a sneak peek of my reviews over on SANspotter.com, usually weeks before I post them here to YouTube. I think I posted the review for this Air France flight 3 weeks ago, so it's a good way to get a sneak peek of what's coming to YouTube for anyone who just can't wait. Which can't possibly be more than 2 or 3 of you. Tops. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, I appreciate it, and stay tuned because there is lots more to come. Until then, fly safe, and I will catch you in the next one.